I want to start by thanking you guys for chatting with me today. You know, I've been an AC/DC fan for a really long time. Since my first introduction to your band was when I stole a copy of Back in Black on cassette out of someone's car when I was 9 years old.
You're bad, lad.
Right.
I'm not proud of it, but that was where it started. And you know, my wife just reminded me of something just a few minutes ago upstairs. She said, you should tell them the story about eighth grade drama class. I actually did a lip sync of Big Balls in my eighth grade drama class, which got me two things: a good grade because I did a good job, but also it got me in trouble because it's wholly inappropriate for an eighth grade drama class lip sync.
Oh, I don't know.
But it was all intended.
Look, I don't think they appreciated the subtle innuendo in that song.
No, well, of course it wouldn't.
Right. Well, it's good to see you guys. Where are you today, Angus? Are you guys, Brian? Are you guys at home?
Yes.
I'm in Sydney, Australia, Brian.
Yeah. Brian, where are you?
I'm in Florida, Sarasota.
Oh, okay.
Florida.
So you're back in Florida. I think last time we chatted, which was on your birthday a few weeks ago, yes. you were still in the UK, so you made it back to the States. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So I've heard bits and pieces of the new album, Power Up, Shot in the Dark, of course, Demon Fire, most recently. My impression is this is a kick-ass AC/DC album. Is that a fair impression, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. It's it's one of those albums you hope people put it on and they immediately go, well, that's AC/DC. This is how they sound, what we know from them, and so it is a good, it's a good toe tapper.
Is that exactly what the world needed right now? Was just a kick-ass AC/DC album to pick them up a little bit?
And Brian,
I think so, me son. I really do. Without getting too deep or philosophical about it, the fact is, it's been a shitty year. I mean, all around, and for everyone. And I think Sonny got it right. They knew there was no chance of us supporting an album with a tour or anything, and then and a 10 out of 10 to them. But just said, you know what, let's just do something that cheer people up. Let's do something that's going to make the world, just forget our troubles just for a couple of hours listening to this album, and I hope it works. But I think it is already working, to be quite honest. It's just people cheer up, It's like anything, people try to look too deep into things and all that. But rock and roll is rock and roll. And it's a wonderful form of music, I think. When Elvis Presley sang, "You ain't nothing but a hound dog." Nobody cared what he was singing. It just sounded great, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it made you feel good. Yeah?
And that's the point, right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to have a good time. You guys recorded this 18 months ago, just up the road from here in Vancouver. I'm curious about that first day when you guys get back together. How long had it been since you'd seen each other? And is it get down to business, or do you get together and like have beers and catch up? Like, how does that go those first couple of days?
Yeah, well, we just get in the studio and hook up, and everyone's really, everyone's really glad to see each other. Everyone's having a bit of a laugh and a bit of a joke here and there. And so it's good, it was a very good vibe. And plus, when you're with all the guys, we've been, as Brian says, we go back quite a long time. And when you're with all the guys, it's a kind of, it's a bit like, a good pair of comfortable shoes,
Sure.
It's those shoes that you always feel comfy in, even though they're worn away, but they just feel comfy.
Did you guys did you have this all written before you went into the studio in Vancouver, or did you work on it when you were there and write stuff collaboratively in the studio?
Well, a lot of the hard work was done before we got there. A lot of the songs was Malcolm and myself, and we had worked on them. These were songs that we had been working through the years, and it was a case of getting these songs out. And I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of good tracks that Mal really liked. The songs. And it was always songs. Anytime we ever went to do an album, it was always we went for the most current songs that we had, and we go, well, they're the most current, and that's what we usually released. But in this case, because I had a bit of time, I thought, well, I'll go through and go back and get together all of these tracks and go through them. And I just thought, well, I've got a great collection, of song tracks that especially Malcolm really liked, and I thought this is the ideal chance to get those tracks down, and get them out there to the public.
Was it important for you to pick songs that you thought Malcolm was into to put on this album?
Yeah, that was my guiding force. And I knew, because me and him, we spent so much time writing songs together. So it was a case of I had a good idea what he really liked. And plus he was always pretty good at, whenever we worked on stuff, he kept a lot of kept a lot of notes, any lyric ideas he had. And so that was always, I had a good roadmap to work with, and I know a lot of the songs he really liked very much. That were strong songs that when we had been working on them, I always thought, well, these are the tracks that would be we should get out there.
Are you guys really organized with that stuff? Or have you just lost songs over the years? Are they like notebooks? Is there piles of archive material laying around? Like, I'm a mess. I've got paper
some
everywhere.
Of it I got. Yeah. Well, I'm a bit that way myself. But Malcolm was pretty organized with a lot of stuff. He was more organized than like me. I would just, when we worked together, the two of us, he'd pick up a guitar and everything. But Mal would take notes and put dates and when it was done, etc. So he was always a little bit more together. Like with me, I was always a bit like yourself. I put notes, paper in, but right. I keep notebooks. I've always kept notebooks of song ideas and song lyrics, and I've always kept that part together. Same with I've a lot of songs. Yeah, I've got them all marked out. So I know. I know where to look for when I'm doing, going through, even when I'm doing stuff, I know where, I've got everything all, marked up and boxed up. Yeah.
Do you guys have like a mountain of AC/DC material that's never come out in these notebooks and stuff?
If you actually, if I went through, there's a lot of ideas and that done, through our career. So, hard part is it's just keeping up with the technology at that time, because in a lot of the early years, you were just using like when cassettes mainly came around, you're using a lot of early cassettes. And then from that point, then when it went into the CD and world, you were using that. And now later, a lot of people go to computer, but we still always kept, we've been pretty much to the CD world, although we may have, a few DAT tapes. And, and other formats, ADATs and stuff like that. Yeah.
This was supposed to come out earlier this year, wasn't it? The album. Did you guys Like at what point do you, I suppose you're probably waiting to put it out to see what happens. Like at what point do you say, you know what, screw it. We should just put this out. Like we should do this. Let's stop waiting.
Well, we were geared up pretty much to go earlier, and we had been at the beginning of the year, and Brian could probably fill you in. I mean, but Brian can tell the story of that.
Well, it was, you know, we went to Holland to shoot the video, you know, for Shot in the Dark. And when we were there, Angus said, listen, you know, while we're there, we've got to take this opportunity to try a little live rehearsals here, you know, check out my new technological, you know, hearing pieces that was made for us. So we did all of that and we worked out, and it was just fantastic. You know, the sound was great, the band was just hot. It was just, I could hear what I was doing. It was all great again, you know, and everybody felt fabulous. And, you know, and as guys do, you know, we were there about 2.5, 3 weeks rehearsing everything. And we thought, you know, as guys, you know, we just started talking about, hey, maybe we could do some shows. Let's try to do some shows. And we were all pretty excited or G'd up about this, you know, and then, you know, we all know the rest, it's history. You know, we all went home, and about a week later, they put the kibosh on it. But I'm so happy that Sonny didn't just get caught in the trap of like, no album without tour. That's the way it is, and that's the way it stays. They didn't. They just said, hey, listen, you know, it's time for a little, you know, cheer up.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
This is, you know, it's all bullshit and virus. And it's horrible. And I hope that, and I think they did brilliant by just saying, you know what, that's it, it's coming out. To hell with it, you know. And it just, and I feel better. You know, the messages we get from people, you know, they're pretty stoked up about the fact that there's a new, you know, the rest of the world can go to hell in a handbag, but yes, I was there, you know.
Right, right. It's the beacon of light in the dumpster fire that was the year of 2020, right? You know, you talked about doing some shows. You know, I would love to see an AC/DC show. I would go see a terrible band on a Tuesday night right now. I've been so starved for live music, you know. But like an AC/DC concert with like fire and cannons and 20,000 people crammed into an arena and hammered on $22 terrible light beer. I mean, that sounds watching the show through one bloodshot eye. I mean, that's the dream for me right now. I would love to do that. Is there any sign of doing something like that in the future? I mean, what are people telling you? Are they talking like late 2021? Are they talking 2022? Like, I guess it's hard to guess.
Yeah, it is hard to guess because, you know, when the virus thing first kicked in, everyone kind of thought, oh, a couple of weeks, you know, and then it got longer and longer. And then I heard some people say, oh, you know, maybe around, you know, the end of July, something might happen, or August. And then it kept getting backtracked. Now people are saying, oh, next year, maybe something might happen. But my thinking is a bit like Brian. I'm just hoping that, you know, some medical Einstein will come up with a magic potion and go, hey, it just so happens I've got my top pocket, something, here it is, you know.
And now AC/DC's on tour.
That's right. I might even settle, you know.
Right. Because of the AC/DC tour vaccine.
I might even settle just for the snake oil salesman, you know.
Sure.
You know, some snake oil salesman going, Potion X, you know, this would work.
I'll take it. I'm in.
I'm in.
Well, we've got to remember, you know, this album, you know, was always it's a tribute to Malcolm. It's for Malcolm, you know. And I sure would, you know, when we were rehearsing, we played some of the new album tracks at a live rehearsal. We just had a But I mean, we just had it. We were, you know, I think there was a couple of the songs like Demon Fire. I think, you know, we played it once and we said, what we'll do next? We'll do Demon Fire. All right. Well, I was the worst one because Angus was gone. But you call them, Brian. You call up the list. And I said, okay, what would they after that? Well, Demon Fire seems...
That was fun.
No, I mean, it gets bad when you start asking what stuff you've done. But no, it was that exciting, and I
That's
exaggerated.
awesome.
But it was that exciting, and we'd love to do this on the road, you know, especially for Marlon and for us and for the fans and all them great people what stuck with through thick and thin, you know. It's in this bloody thing's in the way, and that's the trouble.
Yeah, so I've been listening to a ton of AC/DC lately. You know, we did the 40th anniversary of Back in Black a few weeks ago. You start going back through some of these albums, Back in Black, Razor's Edge, you know, Highway to Hell, Dirty Deeds. This is what your 17th album, and so many of these have become like just, you know, some of the most iconic albums in the history of rock music. And this might be a silly question or a tough one to answer, but I'm wondering, do you have a sense for what it was about these albums over the years that connected the way they did, and why or how they've really stood the test of time, and Back in Black being a great example of it, still, you know, the biggest album of all time?
I think it's just probably the band. It's, you know, that attitude. I mean, from get-go, we've always been how do you say it? It's always been very much a guitar-based, in-your-face band, you know, and always with even from our early days, that was always the driving thing. We always wanted to, guitars to be out there present. So those people heard a record and they go, that's two guitars hammering away there, you know. And that's what we strive for all the way through, the career of the band. And we never deviated from that. We always wanted, the people to know that when they heard something, they go, that's AC/DC's, and no one else does. That was their style. And we've stuck to that all the way through. And that, I think, is probably part of the, part of what people hear. And that also, it's also the driving, they always knew, like, especially when Brian first joined us in 1980, it was after Bon Scott, the tragedy with him. And then Brian coming into an unknown territory. We didn't know how public would take it. And it was just such a strong album. And it'd be hard to really put the words on it. How did it? I just think it was everything coming, together at once. And for the band, it was probably, again, you had great songs. You had, Brian was new and fresh to the, and it was just one of those things, that captured you straight away from, the first hearing. You go, well, that's definitely. Hey, when I first heard it being played back in all its glory, I was going, hey, I'm impressed.
That's not bad. Very impressed. That's actually pretty good.
That's not bad. Yeah.
I think we may have something here.
Yeah. So I was really, I was bowled over. I thought, hey, this really got something.
I think we're starting to run out of time. I wonder if before I let you go, I know this might be kind of new and fresh and kind of raw still, but I wonder if you have anything you'd like to share about Eddie Van Halen before I let you guys take off.
Yeah, Eddie was I would say, I mean, besides being who, with his guitar playing to the world, he was a definite innovator with his guitar style. And that's just, to the world, he was, he reinvented the way, guitar had to be. And he had, you know, a lot of, he influenced a lot of people, as you would know out there. But, you know, meeting, you know, I'd met him, I think really the first time I'd met him was in the 90s, I think. And when we did some touring through Europe and we were doing shows together. And he was just such a warm person. Yeah. And the first thing you noticed about him was he had a big, as soon as he saw me, he had a big smile, big laugh, give me a big hug. He was excited to see us. So when I think, as I say, you know, to the world, you know, to the music world, it's a big loss to the world. But again, you know, those of us lucky to you know, to have met him, you know, it's a, you know, an even probably bigger tragedy, and also for his family and everyone, you know, those close to him, you know, because it's a case of that, you know, when you hearing news that he you know, cancer had come back to him, you know, you're really hoping that you're praying the guy gets through it. But that's what I always remembered him. And then I remember seeing him also when we toured in America and Black Ice, and he came out to Los Angeles and he came to the shows to see us. I mean, he was still the same, big smile, happy. And he was ever so happy to see. And he was very fond of Malcolm. So he was, you know,
Sure.
Yeah.
And he had, you know, so that's, it's a tough thing. And I mean, he definitely leaves a big hole. If you knew him, he does leave a big hole in a lot of people. Yeah.
Parting words for AC/DC fans watching this all over the world today?
Yeah, well, you know, I hope you know, they're really going to dig the new album, you know, Power Up. I know that, you know, as Brian says, you know, we want to give them you know, a little bit of something that's going to at least recharge that battery, you know.
Right.
Yes.
So, you know,
It's going to do you good.
that's right.
Ben, thanks for supporting them.
Guys,
Thank
it's always a pleasure. Next time I have you over to my house, we'll do it for real, and I'll like smoke a brisket or something. Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, gents.
Ryan.
I'll see you next
We'll
time.
hold you to that now.
All right. All right.
Yes.
I'll see you.